When Erling Haaland joined Manchester City, most people thought that he would be good, but few if anyone expected that he would be up there with the all-time greats in his very first season in the English Premier League. Yet, that is exactly what has happened this time around. The main reason that he's managed to break the Premier League goal scoring record at his first attempt. Now, that is something pretty massive, and it got me thinking really as to which player, or particularly which striker in the history of the Premier League has had a debut as impactful as Erling Haaland, and did a little bit of number digging, and it's pretty interesting to note that a lot of strikers who would probably rank much higher than Haaland as far as Premier League greats are concerned due to their longevity. Remember, Haaland's only in his first major season. Well, they didn't actually have the kind of impactful debut that he's had. In fact, let's go through the who's who of Premier League greats and you'll understand my point. And if you look at the numbers that they had in their debut seasons in their respective clubs. First off, it's worth looking at Alan Shearer, an absolute all-time great of the Premier League and still the record holder for the most league goals scored ever in the history of the Premier League. His for his debut season, should I say, saw him play 5 games and only score 3 goals. In fact, it took a couple more seasons for him to really find his groove and even a move away from Southampton to Blackburn when he actually became cemented as an all-time great, where he, of course, won the Premier League, then went to Newcastle, scored many more goals, but impact as far as debut seasons, next to nothing. Look further, someone like Harry Kane, who's recently become the second highest goal scorer in the history of the Premier League. His first club season with Tottenham Hotspur saw him get a total of 10 games and only 3 goals. Again, it took him more than a few seasons to really come into his groove as the striker that we know today. It wasn't easy sailing from his first ever season. Similar would go to someone like Wayne Rooney, again someone who would be an all-time Premier League great and in fact currently has the second most goals for the Premier League, in the Premier League rather. His first season saw him play a whopping 33 games with Everton, so it's not like he had less games to play either, but only 6 goals. So again, there's pretty much a bigger sample size here, but not really that much as far as difference in terms of output. Rooney was another one who was a little bit of a slow bloomer, took him some time to actually really come into his groove. Andy Cole, another one who's considered up there with the all-time greats thanks to the number of goals he scored for both Newcastle United and Manchester United. His first season saw him play just 1 game and score no goals. In fact, it actually led to him leaving Arsenal in a couple of years because he was barely getting any game time. And then he really came into his own, first at Bristol City and then at Newcastle United. So definitely the definition of a late bloomer, but also someone who came into his element later on, unlike, say, a Haaland. Michael Owen, another one who, of course, is the last ever English player to have won the Ballon d'Or, a massive, massive honor. In his first club season, he got 2 games, scored just 1 goal, but the next season saw him really kick on because he played throughout the season and got 18 goals. So really, as far as if we are comparing in terms of impact, in terms of sheer impact and even playing style, Owen was somewhat similar, but he too took a full season to really get going before he could actually become the great striker he went on to be. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying that, okay, these are English strikers. Most of them would have made their debuts in England. Haaland, by the way, came to England almost a fully formed player. So, for comparison, let's look at some of the all-time foreign greats as well. And let's start with Robin van Persie, an Arsenal and Manchester United legend. His debut year at Arsenal saw him play a total of 26 games and scored just 5 goals. But there is one very obvious caveat. He was initially deployed more on the wings. And this is before the era of there being reverse or rather, let's say, inverted wingers. And he was mostly playing on the left. So 5 goals isn't the worst output in the world, but even then, it took him a few seasons to really blossom into the striker that, became a legendary Premier League striker. Thierry Henry, another player who, of course, many have compared to Haaland due to the similarities in their style of play. Very pacey, clinical with his finishing, all-round plays, underrated. He too, in his first season, 31 games, 17 goals, but it is also worth noting that he too took some time because he was playing in a different position when he first came to Arsenal. He would more often operate as a winger, and it was Arsene Wenger who converted him into the goal-scoring striker that he would become later on in his career. But even then, 17 goals, you're thinking that's pretty good really as far as impact goes. But there is another player who actually outdid Henry in that regard, and it's someone who many have pegged Haaland to be the replacement of at Manchester City, and that is Sergio Aguero. Aguero, up until this point, really had the most impactful of debuts when you're looking at the Premier League. 34 games, 23 goals. That is a lot of goals in the first season. And many people thought the same thing for Aguero that they thought about Haaland, that yes, he'll take a few games to get used to it, maybe even a season. He was playing mostly in Spain, so that's a different style of league, different style of play. Aguero proved everyone wrong and certified himself as one of the all-time Premier League greats, especially in the recent era. But no one, and I must say that no one compares to the kind of season that Haaland has had. He scored 35 goals and counting, because there's still a few games left. He scored 50 goals for City across all competitions, and not just that. His 35 goals means that he's broken the records of, Alan Shearer and Andy Cole, who scored 34 goals, but in a season that had 4 more games than the current ones do. That in itself should put into context just how good that season was for Haaland. And the hope, of course, is that he'll continue to get better, because right now he's actually outperformed some of the Premier League's all-time greats whilst they were playing in their prime. Haaland, we know, is not a developed player yet, but if he can maintain these levels, it's scary just how good we can see him becoming in the next few years. We hope you enjoyed this video and the analysis we presented to you, and if you did, you can like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app as well. Plus, if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've uploaded. For now, from my side, goodbye.